Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and felt like something was watching over you? Not in a frightening way. Not in a horror movie, shadows on the wall kind of way. In a way that made you feel held. Like the darkness in that room was somehow full. Full of something you couldn't name, but something that knew your name. If you felt that, stay with me. Don't scroll away. Don't let the next thing pull you before you hear this. Because what I'm about to share with you is not a theory I read somewhere. It's not a sermon I borrowed from a commentary. This is something I've carried for years, wrestled with in prayer, sat with in silence, and finally understood in a way that I can now put into words. You were sent back, and most people spend their entire lives never knowing what that means. Most people go through life assuming they understand what they are. A body, a mind, a personality shaped by their upbringing, their choices, the people who loved them, and the people who hurt them, and they spend their whole lives trying to fix that version of themselves, losing the weight, earning the income, repairing the reputation, winning back just a little more respect from the people whose opinions they've decided matter. And there's nothing inherently wrong with any of that. Growth is good. Healing is real. Subscribe. But here's what most people miss, what they miss completely. And it costs them everything they are. Who you are in this physical world is not who you are. It's a shadow, a projection, an echo, a fragment of something that existed long before your mother ever held you for the first time. Long before your name was spoken, in a hospital room, long before you were even a thought whispered between two people who loved each other. There is a version of you, the real you, the original you, that was known in a realm you cannot see with your eyes. Known, chosen, commissioned, and then released into time at a specific moment, in a specific family, carrying a specific weight that was never meant to be explained away. And the reason you feel different from most people around you, the reason ordinary conversations sometimes feel like you're speaking from a different frequency than everyone else in the room, is not a glitch in your pace. Personality. It's not a wound that needs healing. It's not anxiety searching for a label to call itself. It's a seal. You were marked before you arrived. I want you to think about Joseph for a minute. Not the Christmas pageant version. Not the coat of many colors flannel board version you saw as a kid in Sunday school. The full Joseph. The real one. This is a boy who had dreams so vivid, so specific, so loaded with divine imagery that he couldn't keep them to himself. And the people closest to him, his own family, didn't celebrate those dreams. They resented them. Because when someone carries something real, the people who don't carry it can smell it on them. And sometimes that smell brings out love, and sometimes it brings out something that looks like hatred, but if you look closely enough, is really just fear wearing hatred's clothes. His brothers threw him in a pit, sold him to strangers for the price of a slave, went back to their father with a bloody coat and a lie. And Joseph, this boy with heaven-sent dreams, ended up in a foreign country, in a foreign house, accused of something he didn't do, sitting in a dungeon that nobody important was going to remember to check. Now, if you were watching Joseph's life from the outside, you'd think it was over. You'd think the dreams were delusions. You'd think God had gone quiet. You'd think, and this is the one that cuts deepest, you'd think the man must have done something wrong, because we've been trained to believe that favor looks like comfort, that calling looks like smooth roads, that chosen looks like easy. But here's what the story actually shows us, and I want you to hold this tightly. Every single one of those low points was not a detour. It was a descent, on purpose. Joseph was being sent into places he couldn't understand, because when the moment finally came, when Pharaoh woke up shaking from a dream that left every wise man in Egypt speechless, Joseph would be the only person in the room who had the key. Not because he studied for it, because he lived for it. Because the prison had done in him what the palace never could have. He didn't get what he needed in comfort. He got it in the pit. And I wonder right now, as you're watching this, how many of you have felt like you were in a pit. Not a Joseph-level pit, maybe. Maybe just the pit of a season that went too long. The pit of a marriage that fell apart. The pit of a career that collapsed in ways that made no sense. The pit of a grief that never fully lifted. The pit of waking up year after year with a sense that this cannot be what you were meant for, but not knowing how to find the exit. What if I told you the pit was part of the assignment? What if I told you that the very thing you've been waiting to get out of is the very thing that was getting something into you? There is something that happens in the spirit before you are born. I know how that sounds. I know some of you just tensed a little, and I'm not asking you to abandon your discernment. I'm asking you to bring it with you. Because this is not a mystical idea I invented. The Word of God is saturated with it. Jeremiah. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. David. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Paul. He who had set me apart before I was born and called me by his grace. This is not poetry written to make people feel a little better about themselves on a hard day. This is a consistent, repeating, impossible to ignore pattern in the Word of God. Heaven commissioning souls before they arrive on earth. God writing assignments in eternity that only specific people were built to carry. Spiritual identities being sealed before physical lives ever begin. And then those souls come into the world, and most of them forget. That's the part nobody talks about from the pulpit. The forgetting. Because when you come into this world, the weight of it is immediate. The noise, the need, the pain that starts before you even have words for what pain is. And slowly, quietly, what you were before you arrived gets covered over by what the world decides you should be. Like snow settling over a field. You can't even see where it happened. You just notice, somewhere in your late 20s or your 30s or your 40s, that the person you've become is not the person you always sensed you were supposed to be. And you can't explain it. You've tried. People look at you like you're being ungrateful, like you have a good life and a real faith, and you should be content. And you are content in certain ways. But there is something, a persistent, aching, something that refuses to be satisfied by what's in front of you. Not because what's in front of you isn't good, but because you are made for something that goes beyond it. But every so often, and I believe for some of you, it's happening right now, something cracks through. A moment in prayer where you felt something you cannot put into language. A worship song that didn't just move your emotions, but moved something beneath your emotions, something older. A stranger who said something that shouldn't have meant anything, but landed in you like it had been aimed from eternity. A season of suffering that, instead of breaking you, somehow sharpened you into something more precise than you were before it. Those aren't accidents, those are rememberings. Your spirit, the part of you that was known before you were born, is trying to surface. It has been pressing up against the ordinary weight of your life, trying to help you remember what you came here to do, trying to get your attention, trying to pull you back to the thread. And most people dismiss it. They call it emotion. They call it a phase. They call it the result of a hard week. They move on, go back to work, scroll their phones, and the moment passes without an answer. But you're still watching this, which means something in you refused to let the moment pass. Now here's where I need to slow down, because I said you were sent back. And I want you to understand what that actually means, what it means in the economy of heaven. Not just as a feeling, not just as a phrase that sounds spiritually significant. There are souls that come to the earth, carrying a commission so specific, so tied to a particular moment in history, a particular community of people, a particular kind of wound in the world that needs a particular kind of healing, that God does not leave their formation to chance. He doesn't just release them and hope they figure it out on their own. He prepares them. He allows things, hard things, things that don't look like preparation from the outside, isolating things, confusing things to happen to them on purpose, because those experiences are not punishment, they are equipment. And when those souls, maybe through distraction, maybe through discouragement, maybe through years of trying to live someone else's version of who they should be, drift away from what they were sent to do. Heaven calls them back, pulls them back, sometimes through a dream that won't leave, sometimes through a breakdown that clears out everything that was false, sometimes through a quiet, unspectacular Tuesday morning when everything in your life looks fine on paper, but something inside is screaming, "This is not it. This is not your life." You were sent back, not because you earned it, not because you've been good enough, or faithful enough, or spiritual enough, because what you carry is too important to be wasted on a life that was built around everyone else's expectations of you. Before I go any further, I want to pause here, because what I just described is the exact thing that the secret protocol was built to address. There are messages that pass through your eyes, and there are messages that pass through your spirit. If something in you recognized itself while watching, don't dismiss it. That is the spirit confirming what was already written. The secret protocol carries 7 keys that unveil what heaven deposited in you before you ever arrived. Things no one around you has ever been able to name. It comes with the full audiobook for your moments of prayer, silence, and encounter with God. And you also receive the Awakening Map, the guide that illuminates the 5 seasons of spiritual awakening, revealing with precision exactly where you are and what comes next. The link is pinned in the first comment, but only for a limited time. Don't let this moment pass without a response. Now I want to talk about what being sent back actually costs you. Because I think sometimes people hear, "You were chosen," and they receive it as a reward, as a spiritual promotion, as confirmation that they're better or more special than the people who weren't chosen. That is not what this is. Moses was sent back. After 40 years in the wilderness, 40 years of herding sheep in obscurity, 40 years of watching his life shrink to a fraction of what he once imagined it would be, God appeared in fire and said, essentially, "It's time. Go back." And Moses, who had every reason in the world to believe he was the wrong choice, stood in front of that burning bush and said, "Who am I that I should go?" And I love that question. Not because it's humble, because it's honest. Because the man who stands before God and says, "I don't think I'm enough for this," that is the man God can use. That man has stopped trusting his own resume long enough to make room for something that doesn't depend on his resume. The people God sends back are rarely the ones who feel ready. They are almost never the ones who look the part from the outside. They are the ones who have been through enough that they've stopped pretending. The ones who've had enough of their own plans fail, that they've run out of resistance. The ones who are finally empty enough to be filled with something that isn't just more of themselves. If you've been waiting to feel qualified before you step into what God placed in you, I need you to hear this. That feeling of unreadiness may be the most spiritually accurate thing about you right now. Here's something I've noticed quietly. Over years of walking with people through seasons of spiritual awakening, about the ones who carry a genuine commission from heaven. They are deeply uncomfortable with shallow living. Not in an arrogant way, not in a way that makes them announce it, but there is something in them that physically cannot settle. They sit in rooms full of noise and feel a quiet that doesn't belong to the room. They achieve things that should satisfy the promotion, the relationship, the house, the milestone, and feel a strange, almost embarrassing emptiness that they can't admit to anyone because it would sound ungrateful. They love the people in their lives fully, genuinely, sacrificially, and still feel like there is a level of being truly known that they haven't found yet. Like there is a conversation they are supposed to be in that hasn't started. Like there is a room they are supposed to be walking into but they can't find the door. Like there is a version of their life that is happening somewhere that God already sees and they are waiting, without quite knowing what they are waiting for, to step into it. That discomfort is not a defect. That feeling is not something to medicate or manage or explain away. That discomfort is a compass. It is the part of you that remembers dimly, without words, the way you remember a dream by mid-afternoon what you were made for. And it is pulling you, every day, toward it. Paul wrote some of his most enduring words not from a comfortable study but from a prison cell, in chains, completely at the mercy of a system that had every legal right to destroy him. And what came out of that confinement was language that would shape the faith of billions of people across 20 centuries. Not in spite of the prison, because of what the prison did in a man who had already been emptied of everything except his commission. You can't stop what heaven put inside someone. You can delay it. You can discourage it. You can pile years of difficulty and disappointment and confusion on top of it. But you cannot extinguish it. And I want to ask you something. Something I want you to sit with after this video ends. What has tried to stop what's in you? Because I believe you've had things try to shut you down. Relationships that looked like they would build you, but tore something out of you instead. Seasons where your faith was the only thing left, and even that felt like it was coming apart at the edges. Mornings when you looked at your life and could not see one single reason to believe the next chapter was going to be different from the ones that had already broken you. But you made it through. Every single thing that was designed to close the door on you, you made it through. Not because you were strong enough, because you were sealed. Because what heaven placed inside you is not a fragile thing. It was designed for exactly the kind of pressure you've been under. It was sealed into you specifically because God knew what was coming and decided what was in you was worth protecting through all of it. You didn't make it to today by accident. You were held. Now I want to address the place where most people lose the thread. Because they get a moment like this one, a moment of recognition, of something shifting in the spirit, of feeling seen in a way that goes beyond what a video should be able to do, and they carry it home. They feel it in the room. And then the day comes. The laundry is on the couch. The inbox is full. The kids have 3 different needs happening at the same moment. The neighbor needs something. The car needs an oil change. And nothing about any of it looks like destiny. It just looks like Tuesday. And that's where most people set down the thread they just picked up. Because they are waiting for their life to look like what they believe they're calling to be. Waiting for the dramatic open door. The unmistakable sign. The invitation that removes all doubt. And while they're waiting for the spectacular, they're walking past the sacred every single day. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before the burning bush. But those 40 years were not wasted time. They were formation time. Every harsh terrain he crossed while leading sheep was teaching him the geography of hardship. Every sunrise he watched alone was building in him the kind of stillness that can actually hear from God, not just talk at God, but hear. Every year of obscurity was stripping from him the things he would have leaned on instead of leaning on heaven. The wilderness was not the delay. The wilderness was the school. Your Tuesday is not your detour. It is part of your preparation. Every ordinary thing you are faithful with right now, every prayer you pray when nothing seems to be happening, every choice you make toward integrity when no one is watching, every time you choose to keep going when stopping would have been understandable. Every one of those things is being woven into the person who will be ready when the moment comes. And the moment is coming. I want to close with something I've thought about a lot. Something I believe with everything in me. The world does not need more people who are polished and performing, who have it all together on the outside and are quietly hollow on the inside, who give the right answers and show up to the right places and never let anyone see the cost of carrying something they don't fully understand yet. The world needs people who have been through things, who came out the other side different, not unbroken, but refined, who have wept in private for what was lost and chosen to believe anyway, who have sat in the silence of unanswered prayer and decided to stay, who have looked at the gap between who they are and who they sense they're supposed to be and refused to let that gap be the final word. That is what you were sent back to be. Not a finished product, not a success story with a clean ending. A living witness, someone whose very life, with all its complexity, all its detours, all its unresolved places, is itself a message to the people around them. You were sent back because there are people who can only be reached by someone who has been where you've been, who speaks the language of your specific suffering, who carries the authority that only comes from surviving what was designed to stop you. Heaven did not send you back because you were the easiest option. Heaven sent you back because you were the right one. So here's what I want you to do before you close this video. Before you go back to your day, back to the ordinary weight of your life. Leave a comment below, and I want it to be specific. I want you to tell me about one moment when you felt something shift, a moment when you knew even without being able to explain it, even if you dismissed it at the time, that something bigger than your circumstances was moving around you or inside you. It could have happened in church, could have happened in a hospital waiting room, could have been in your car on a drive you don't even remember taking, with a song on the radio that hit you somewhere you didn't know you could be hit. What was that moment? Because I believe that when you name it, when you stop walking past it, and you actually put words to it, something gets activated that silence never could. The naming is part of the remembering. The remembering is part of the returning. You were sent back. And this right here, right now, is where it begins.